Now when it comes to server maintenance, I want to do just a couple of videos here and talk about a couple of hot topics. The first one in this video is I want to deal with memory management, and in the next video under this section I'll deal with maintenance plan, database maintenance plan wizard. But right now, memory management basics, I want to talk about just some odds and ends. These really don't fall into a category, so I'm just going to hit them here. First of all, on SQL Server 2005, Microsoft recommends that you do not use the maximize data throughput for network applications setting. Now, that's not in SQL Server, that's part of your operating system, so let me show you how to set that. Let's go to Start, Settings, Control Panel. Actually, we want to go to Network Connections. So there's a shortcut here in Windows Server 2003. And if I right-click my local area connection and go to Properties, then I can check File and Printer Sharing from Microsoft Networks and go to Properties. Right here, I don't want to choose. I want to make sure Maximize Data Throughput for Network Applications is not chosen. Okay, just verify that's not chosen. It has to do with how I/O caching is done, and in SQL Server 2005, you're better off not to do this. You're going to be more efficient with operations. So go out and set that. Make sure you're not set there. The next thing that you need to be aware of is that the memory configuration by default with SQL Server 2005 should be dynamic, and you shouldn't have any trouble with that. But let me show you how to set it. If I right-click on my server and go to Properties, you will notice that there is a section here called Memory. Now, there's a couple of things that you need to be aware of. Microsoft is recommending that if you're running SQL Server 2005 on Windows Server 2003, you want to use AWE, the Advanced Windowing Extensions, or Address Windowing Extensions, I believe it is. You want to use this to allocate memory. That's SQL Server 2005 on Windows Server 2003. You want this checked, okay? If you're on Windows Server 2000 or anything else, uncheck this. I'm on Windows Server 2003, so I'll check it. Now, the next thing is depending on how much memory you have in your machine, if you have plenty of memory, then you may want to set a minimum server memory here in megabytes. Microsoft recommends that if you use AWE support, you may want to set this to use 2 gigs minimum for SQL Server. Now, obviously, this means you're going to have a chunk of memory in your machine. The one thing that you want to watch here is that any time that you start to toy with this and you tell it to run a certain minimum amount of memory, you may be cannibalizing your operating system. You want to make sure that you have plenty of memory out there, and you'll have to run some performance monitor test on memory to watch it. But you want to be real careful with this. Once you tell it to set aside that much memory, it's going to use that, and you're losing the dynamics. Just watch the efficiency of your SQL Server. Change this if you see a difference for better or for worse. Okay, but watch that. There are a couple of other memory issues that you need to be aware of. When you create indexes, SQL Server automatically sets aside a certain amount of memory for indexing, and it does okay unless you're using a lot of partition tables and indexes and so forth. Then you may want to go bump this up, okay? And this is in kilobytes, so you have to do some math here, okay? But you can bump this up and try and see if your index creation goes a little better. Also notice that your memories, this is the big one. Microsoft is automatically setting aside, notice, 1,024 kilobytes or 1 megabyte of memory is set aside for query processing. Now, if you have very complex queries or queries that require a lot of CPU time, you may want to bump this up. But again, be cognizant of the amount of available memory you have in your machine, or you may cannibalize your system. I wanted you to see these things. Take a look at these memory settings and understand them. Play with them and see if you can tweak some more performance out of your server.